What's going on, everybody? We are back and we're excited because we're talking about, boom, this book right here, George Clason's The Richest Man in Babylon. And if you remember last time, we got into some really great conversations surrounding around the different laws, the different principles, the different things that are great steps to take and to be aware of and to take control of your money and your finances and just so much more. There was a lot of applications. I want to welcome Mr. Ian Stermer to the show, as well as the amazing Lauren Cobb for joining us in these conversations. And by the way, if you want to join in on these conversations, send an email to team@mychampionscircle.com. Any inquiries will allow us to literally dig deep into your life, stalk you from a distance, and make sure you're someone who we want on our show. But we want anyone who's excited to talk about the books that we're talking about and to get into it, because there's so much more that we could learn and grow from these. Now, this show is available on YouTube and any podcast channel out there. We officially launched the podcast version of this, so we're excited to get these out to the world, to the universe, and so much more. So check out our website by going to mychampionscircle.com and learning more. But I want to pass the mic over to my fellow co-creators in this conversation, guys. We're talking about the Richest Man in Babylon, and boy, are we learning some great lessons. It's a short read. And not only if you're reading, but if you're listening to an Audible, and if you listen to Audible like I do, and everything's on 2x mode, it really is just like an hour long. It's not that long, but you really do get so many golden nuggets out of it. And I'm excited to dive into that with you guys.
Yeah. You said something great at the beginning. You said we're learning about the laws. And I think that's a great thing to remind us that money follows laws. It's not some weird esoteric mumbo jumbo out there that we don't know what's going on, or there's really solid concrete laws you can follow, because in the end, money is math. It's numbers, and there's ways to follow those numbers. And The Richest Man in Babylon puts those numbers into a fairly accessible storyline of 3,000 years ago in Babylon, which we're all very familiar with. But he does make it pretty simple to follow that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I agree too. I think that the principles, well, first of all, the principles speak for themselves, but they give us a great direction and outline. And it's funny because if these are principles that were written, I mean, these were stories that were shared eons ago, and yet today they're still the principles of success. I think that this would be something that we would all want to literally take a pen and start writing down to the paper. What are the differences, the tweaks, and the things that you can make in your own life so that you're making better financial decisions? I think that that's just very, very powerful. And principles are principles. I mean, they never go away. The golden rule, right? Treat others as you want to be treated, if that's what the golden rule is. I know that I've talked to so many people who've changed it to the platinum rule and whatever, but whatever that is, it's a principle that has never gone away because it stands. And some people might say, oh, these are cliches. Well, numbers are numbers. You can't argue math. Math just tells you the answer. So I'm excited you said that, Ian, too, but I'm excited to dive into this.
That's exactly what I was going to say, John. Principle is principle. It doesn't change. Just because our circumstances change doesn't mean the principles change. It'll always be there.
Amen. Amen to that. Well, I'm excited, guys. I'm going to bring up a thing here, but let's jump into the conversation today and start talking more about what it is that we want to. I mean, again, it is a smaller book for us to discuss, so we're pulling out concepts, but I think there's some golden nuggets of knowledge. Get it? Golden nuggets of knowledge that we want to drop today and kind of dive into.
Well, I wanted to start out with something as you're pulling that up, John. We're talking about money, and I want to bring up the idea, what is money? Now, we probably all heard that line from the Bible, money is the root of all evil. And that's actually not the correct quote. The actual quote is, the love of money is the root of all evil. And when we're talking about money here, rather than just talking about dollars and cents, and I know we just went through the whole math thing, I want to bring up another perspective on this. Money is freedom. All money does is allow you to have choices. If you have $2 and you walk into Walmart, you have a limited number of options that you can buy with that $2. If you have $200 and you walk into Walmart, you have a wider option of things that you can buy. Having money or loving money for the sake of money is evil. Okay, sorry, I'm going to make a judgment call there. If you just want money, you just want to see the zeros in the bank account, that's all you care about, you want more than the other guy, now you're in the evil side of things. But if you're saying, if I can make more money, then I can choose a better place to raise my children. I can give my children a better education. I can protect myself health-wise through eating better foods. Now you're saying that money is going to give you a freedom to do things that you couldn't otherwise do. And I think we all want that freedom. So as we get into this book, let's see how we can increase our money, but increase our freedom, increase our opportunity to choose things. Because I think that perspective helps me to see the value of finance in general.
Yeah, I completely agree. And still working on the back end here. I'll get that list up, but we can start without it. But I agree with you. And I think perspective, again, is a very, very powerful principle in all this. When you have a different belief system than what the world would make you feel, or what the natural person would absolutely feel as knee-jerk, fight or flight reaction to certain things, there is a level of consistency that can be developed through the principles that create a wellness, and I'm excited to jump into it. So,
okay. Well, I'm going to jump into the first rule while you're pulling that up, or today, I guess we're talking about the 5 laws of gold. And the story in this book is that Arkad, the richest man in Babylon, goes against tradition. Normally, they leave their treasure and their money to their eldest son. But instead, he sends his son on a journey for 10 years with a bag of gold and a tablet with these 5 laws of gold on that tablet. And he lets his son see how he does. He says, if you come back successful, you'll gain all that I had. If you come back a failure, you failed, you're on your own, good luck to you. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here. And Arkad's son, who I apologize, I did not pull up his name. We'll call him Arkad Jr., or maybe just Junior. Junior goes out and fails miserably. I think the first thing he does is he meets some people with a racehorse, and they said that we have the fastest horse, and I know this guy who will bet 2 to 1 that his horse will win, but ours is going to just trounce it. So he gives him a bunch of money and finds out the whole thing was a scam. Things go from there to worse, ends up being a slave, owned by another family, and has nothing left except for the tablet that has those rules of gold. And then he realizes that maybe he should pay attention to those tablets. So the first law of gold to put on there should sound familiar to our regular listeners. And I'm going to read from my screen. Gold cometh gladly and increasing quantity to any man who will put not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. So once again, put at least 10% away into saving so the gold can work for you later on. That golden 10% rule. So
just now pulling it up, guys.
No worries.
Good.
I'll just keep talking then.
Cool, you got it.
So each of us, and hopefully everybody listening, has an income stream. Doesn't matter what it is. You've got money coming in. You've got a job, you've got a paper route, you're driving Uber, you're donating blood. You've got something coming in. And if you have something coming in, you have the ability to save. It really is as simple as that. Doesn't mean it won't take some sacrifices. Doesn't mean you don't need to go without some things you would like to have. But if you have money coming in, you have the ability to save. So what do we all need to do? Save.
I was going to scream, make money.
That's part of it too.
Yeah.
But one of the things about these rules of gold is it doesn't matter what the number is. The principle is still there. Whether it's a little or a lot, you can still follow the same principle and still earn. We talked briefly about savings accounts now. You can find ones that are 3 or 4% interest rate. Whether I put $10 in it or $10 million, I'm still going to get that 3 or 4% interest rate. I still have the same ability to earn no matter how much I start out with. So don't be frustrated and say, I don't earn enough to save. I can never get wealthy because I don't make enough money. If you have an income stream, you can start saving 10% and start to get that working for you.
I absolutely love that. And before we move on to the next principle, I just wanted to share, by the way, I look what I whipped out in just a few minutes here, guys. Check that out. The 5 laws of gold, those who have disobeyed. I guess I threw that one in there too from the article, but God loves those who save 10%. I just want to share something before we really get into this, is that, there's the term cash flow, right? And cash flow is literally like a stream of water. Okay. And I know there's an old parable, an old story about, and I don't know where I'm pulling it from. It's just my childhood. So I have no reference to what this parable is. So if it sounds like I'm making it up, it really is me kind of recalling this old parable. But there's an old parable about the stream. And these natives would approach the stream, and the natives can be animals. It could be farmers. It could be anybody. It could be anyone from the local area. But the natives approach the stream every year to drink of the water, to pitch, to fill their pails, and to provide and use it for what it's worth. And as long as the river is flowing, they can continue to thrive, and that's their source of life, their source of water. But at some point, when that when that flow or that stream of water doesn't continue to flow, meaning the river is dried up, the glaciers have melted, or something has happened to where there is no flowing water, those people or the natives, they have a hard time adjusting because they don't really necessarily know what the solution is. And so in order to continue to keep a growing, a flowing stream of anything, there needs to be consistency. There needs to be commitment. There needs to be something that doesn't obstruct it. Maybe there was a landslide that covered the stream and caused it to dam up so it wouldn't flow. But whatever it is, you have to have that constant flow. And you mentioned, we talk about saving at least 10%, because I believe that what goes in and goes out, there still needs to be room for at least 10% or more. And, those individuals, rather than just living off of the stream, this is the end of the parable, rather than just living off of the stream day by day, they should have, in the anticipation that maybe a landslide, a natural disaster, or the river would dry up, they should have been saving at least some of their water for times like this. So imagine them arriving and the stream is dried up, to think, wow, where do we get our next source of water? We are probably going to die. And so, not that you don't save money is going to cause you to die, but in a very drastic way, it could. Like, you never know. It could cause a lot of turmoil in your life. And so saving is a very, very powerful principle. That's what I wanted to hit. And if anyone wants to look up that parable, just go to the parables of John, and you'll find a long list of made up stories that really, really tie into what he's trying to prove as of his point.
That was a New Testament one or Old Testament?
Modern day Testament.
Yeah.
It reminds me of what Ian shared last week about if you take $10, was it $10 a day or $10 a month? And you save it for 10 years, Do you remember, Ian? I think it was $10 a month.
Yeah, I think $10 a month comes up to $120 a year, $1,200 in 10 years.
Yeah.
I
So
think.
it really can be as simple as that, right? Like, I think sometimes we make it so hard, and I know I've done it. I'm guilty of it. Like, oh, that's a big chunk of money to put away, but it serves you better, right? And the discipline kind of falls over into other areas of your life as well.
Yeah. If you save 10% of your income every month, after 10 months, you will have 1 month's worth of income in savings. At the end of a year, you've got 120% of 1 month's income that's saved. We said, what could you do with an extra month's income added to your budget? But if you save that, and we're going to kind of move into the second principle of that, because we talked a lot about the first one last time. You save that 10%, now you've got 120% of a month's salary. Let's just say you just have a month's worth of salary. And then you go and you invest that. And if you could get a 10% return, because I'm bad at doing complicated math, that's going to continue to get you 1/10 of a month's salary every month. At the end of a year, you will have earned another month's salary on the interest of the first one. So if you continue to save, that money you're saving is invested in earning another smaller dividend on top of that. I think maybe it's 1/10 of a month after a year on the interest. Sorry, my math is off this morning. But you've got now a month's salary plus 10%. At the end of the next year, if you can continue to save, you're going to have 2 months' salary plus 2/10 of a month on that interest. So it continues to grow. Gold loves to multiply. Now, are you guys familiar with the rule of 72 in finance? Okay, the rule of 72 is, as I pull it up on my other screen here, it's a way to find out how long it takes your money to double. And what you do is you take the number 72 and you divide it by the interest rate that you're getting. So if you're getting a 3% interest rate, I've already done the math over here, so I don't have to do it in my head. In 24 years, your money will double. If you can get a 6% interest rate, in 12 years, your money will double. If you could get a 12% interest rate, in 6 years, your money would double. So this takes time, but again, these are laws and principles that are true. No matter how much money you start with, if you divide the interest rate or divide 72 by the interest rate, that tells you the number of years to double your money. And the first double may not seem as much, but the 5th or 6th double turned out to be quite a bit of money. My science teacher in high school shared an example, and I haven't tried this myself, so if my math is off, forgive me. If you take a piece of paper and tear it in half and put it on top of itself and tear it again and keep folding it over and tearing it so it doubles every time, he told me 50 tears would be a distance from here to the sun. Now, the 49th tear is a difficult one. Takes a little bit of muscle power. But doubling something becomes huge increases down the road. So even a small amount, when we get to later in life, and retirement is a big thing that I work with now, when you get to retirement, you need that money. You no longer have an income stream. All you have is the gold that you've accumulated so far working for you. So you need to have that doubling started early to get that money coming in. And gold will always double at the same rates, depending on that interest rate. It's going to be the same for everyone. So, that was my pause for you.
Is John frozen?
I think he is. It is kind of chilly out, so
yeah.
He's got a nice smile in the freeze, though.
Yeah.
I'm here, yes. A little internet issue there. Can I jump in add to what you said?
Please, yes.
I was thinking about what you said too, and I'm still stuck on my parable, trying to improve the parable a little bit. I'm just kidding, but talking about this, because if you're in a position where you don't save, right, then when you do save money, whether it's 1% or 10% or more, it's as if when you get that paycheck, okay, most people on an average get a paycheck twice a month. When you get that paycheck and you set some aside, already you're improving and increasing what you're earning by setting something aside, because you would already instinctively spend that. It would be inflow and outflow. But by paying yourself, by saving 10%, you're paying yourself more money than what you've worked for. So if your salary on an average is $60,000 a year, and you're paying yourself 10% of that, a month or per paycheck, you're paying yourself an extra paycheck, each paycheck, to give yourself that. And then what you just talked about, Ian, is taking that even further. There are vehicles, tools, modalities, and resources that you can use to help that new set of side paychecks grow as they sit in safety and accounts. And that's a really cool principle. And I think that that's the kind of thing that has never changed. As far as gold goes, when we're talking about, by the way, I changed it. The whole disobedience thing was bugging me, so I had to change that. Is when it comes to gold likes to multiply. Like, your money wants to work for you. Nothing likes to sit still and be nothing, but a rock. Rocks only love to sit and be nothing. Okay, but even a rock under inertia and some other physical forms of Mother Nature and whatnot get to have motion and flow down there. Here's that stream again. Flow down the stream and turn into stones or beautiful things. Again, I'll get off my high horse on this, guys, but I think it's so cool what Ian said, because not only are you paying yourself and making extra wage from your own money, but there are tools to multiply it. And I think it's very, very valuable what you shared.
Oh, thank you. And a last example with gold loving to multiply, and forgive me for not having the exact numbers here, but if you take $1 to the local merchant and you buy something, that merchant then takes a percentage of that as their profit and their expenses, and they go and spend that $1 at the next merchant, and they take a piece off for themselves and they spend it at the next merchant. And it works out something like $2.50 created for every $1 spent. So money naturally multiplies when it's used. But by saving some, we're not taking it out of that multiplying area, but we're finding, like you said, a safe place to multiply it. And safe is a key word, because there, like you said, there's a lot of places you can invest your money to multiply it. And there's a lot of places you can invest your money so other people can get it from you and they can multiply their money. We want to avoid those. That's actually the fourth law, but the third one, and let's see, what was yours? Gold loves a cautious owner. Put it in safe areas. Put it into places that you know your return to begin with. Later on, if you get enough, then you can gamble some. But don't take it to Vegas. That's usually the worst strategy. Although, if I didn't tell you this before, I was in Vegas a little while ago, and I found one machine that guaranteed me a payout every single time. Every $1 I put in, I got 4 quarters back. So you could not lose, but I also couldn't win. But then I went and put a couple dollars in a roulette machine, and I lost it all in about 30 seconds. As soon as the ball landed, it was gone. That's not a cautious way to do it. There's safe ways built up. And without going into financial advice, I'm just going to use the example of a savings account. You have a guaranteed interest rate. It's insured by the FDIC, so you cannot lose your money up to $10,000 per account. Once you get beyond there, you have some risk. But when you put it into a safe vehicle, whether it's a solid stock and bonds, money market accounts, there's a lot of investment vehicles you can use. That will start to grow for you. And again, the earlier you start to grow that, the more it will grow and the more will be there in the future. So don't take it out the first year and say, now I can buy those new alligator skin boots. Keep that money investing and use your other 90% for those splurges, for those fun things, budget things to make money there. But keep that 10% working for you all the time.
I'm never going to live it down. I'll pull those boots out to show you guys sometime. I won't be wearing them, but
okay. I think you could wear them.
I don't know. I might fall over now wearing them. I have not walked in stilettos in a long time.
Me either.
Just remember, genuine ostrich, 3 payments. All right, continue, Lauren.
Yes.
It just reminds me, my dad used to tell me if I wasn't saving my money and helping myself grow my wealth, I was growing somebody else's when I'm out spending it. He's like, so always help grow yourself first, your funds, and before you go, make somebody else rich.
Yep. That can be a good and a bad thing in there. Just like the airplane, the oxygen mask falls down, you put yours on first, then you put it on the children. Because if you put it on the children first and that's all the oxygen you have, you're gone. But you put yours on first, you have time to help other people. If you can grow some money, you can help people. Look at the business magnates of the 20th century. Andrew Carnegie created hundreds, if not thousands, of libraries for free for people to gain knowledge. The foundation set up by these people. If they didn't have money, they couldn't do the good things they do. Not saying they don't do bad things, but it also allows good things to happen. And also, if you're investing it in the wrong places, you're going to give bad people the money to invest with. Look at Enron or the crypto one that just crashed big time. And we'll get into crypto in a second too.
Yeah. I want to share something too, because it's interesting you brought up crypto. I won't get there quite yet. I'll let you lead into that because, again, just 2 examples. Number one is the American dollar is based off of a value system of inherited gold from many nations, right? And so gold has value. But I want to jump into this, and I want to give this number 3 some life. And by that, I mean, gold loves a cautious owner. Well, let's play on this idea that gold has a personality. Gold has a heartbeat. If I gave you my gold and said, hey, would you watch this for a little while? And you knew that this gold had a heartbeat, you'd probably want to feed it. You'd probably want to keep it, happy. You wouldn't want it to cry. You wouldn't want it to just store it in a shoebox somewhere, right? You want this gold to live and thrive, if it is as if it were my child, right? It's like babysitting or something. And if you were to babysit my child, you'd want to take care of that thing, right? Otherwise, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And I think it goes around saying, like, if you give your money life, meaning it has a heartbeat, it has a reason to live, then it kind of changes your perspective on it, because it's literally saying gold likes a cautious owner, meaning you have the ability to take care of things. And if you give, let's say money has a name, and the name is I like George because I like my Washingtons, right? Or who's on the $100 bill there. Anyways, just long story short is, what's that?
I think it's Hamilton, isn't it?
Hamilton or something like that. Yeah, whoever's on the $100 bill, whoever it is, give it life, give it meaning, because money will appreciate a cautious owner. Just like Lauren's example, like if you're not fueling your pocket, you're fueling someone else's pocket. And that is something that I think can go a long way. So change your perspective. Think about money from different angles and different specifics. I know it sounds weird. Don't talk to your money. Don't sleep with your money. Don't get weird with money. But essentially, know that it has value and that it has a life and that you can take care of it, because a cautious owner is truly one who's going to be able to accept the principles and work really well with their money. That's all I wanted to share.
I wanted to take what you said just a step further with that. if I were to give you a baby cow, you could kill that cow, sell the meat, and receive a certain amount. If you feed that cow, it will grow, and the money you could get from the meat is going to be more than what you cost to feed it. But also, if you take that cow and don't feed it for a week, what's going to happen to the meat? There's going to be less. The cow is going to lose weight, have less meat. That's inflation. If you don't take care of your money, if you take $100 and put it under your bed, 2 or 3 years from now, it is not going to have the same purchasing power as it does right now. That $100 is going to be worth $96, $94, $90, depending on the inflation rate. So ignoring your money, it's going to lose weight, just like not feeding a cow is going to cause the cow to lose weight, and it's going to affect its purchasing power later on. So cautiousness means you need to feed it. You need to help it to grow in safe and stable ways. And then I'm going to try to remember what your fourth one was, because it was different than the way I had it written down. I was working on my segue there. Oh, gold favors those who study investments. As we said, safe ways to invest the money. Years ago, there was a rule of investment called the generals. And for 100 years or 50 years, I forget how long, for a long time, the investment advice people would give is the generals. You invest in General Electric, General Foods, and General Motors and General Mills. You invest in those three because they consistently returned a good investment for decades. Some of that's changed now. That was not investment advice. That was historical analysis. But when you study investments, when you know what's safe, what's shown to grow, what's proven to grow, your gold will grow faster. Savings accounts are wonderful to start with. They're safe. But if you want to have that rule of 72 and change it from a 3% 20-year investment to a 6%, then you need to study investments. And the best way to do that is to find a good investment person to work with you, because they know what they're doing. And I don't know, I won't speak for all of us, but I'm not going to tell people what stocks to invest in.
Right. Yeah, I've met so many people in the space of financial investments, and again, it's all based off opinion, observation, and so much more. And we won't get into financial advice on the show or anything like that. But yeah, to touch on what you were saying, I mean, really, if you learn even like the most basic principles about investments, again, if gold had a life, it favors those who know what to do with it. If you were to take care of your gold and put it in the best places, and it's hard. I mean, you can do your research. You could literally spend a lifetime learning and trying to understand which stocks or which places on the financial investment side are your best tools. And ultimately you're the best decision maker of that. But again, using your intuition to finding which places would be better. There are great vehicles out there to invest your money in that are, number one, tax-free. Number two, that grow without you even looking at them or touching them. There are other vehicles that give you, bonuses. They're just for being there. I mean, like some accounts will allow you to will reward you just for doing that. But without getting into any of that, like really, there's got to be some validity to the investment place. And it's interesting. I was just on a podcast where somebody just told me that they had a limiting belief from their childhood, and the limiting belief was, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is. And that caused them a lot of grief over the years, because they personally felt like that they were limiting themselves to the opportunities. And this is a completely different context, because he used the transition of what is the phrase? If it is to be, it is for me. then it became a new solution for his life. But not blowing this out of proportion or taking a completely different spin on this context is sometimes the too good to be truths are always going to be investments that are not worth pursuing. When you're dealing with gold, which is a valuable resource, you should be cautious, as it says here in the thing. A cautious owner knows exactly what they do with it. You wouldn't send your horses out to pasture without some sort of enclosure. Otherwise, you could buy horses and never see them again. So it's just really, really important to take inventory and understand too where you're going to for your sources of investment or anything else. And I just think that's very, very powerful. I also, just for kicks and giggles, I wanted to, you brought up 2 baby cows earlier, and I have a famous video that I think is just, everyone needs this. I'm here to provide just total distraction, but, okay, cool. I can't show it right now. I'll show you in just a little bit, but, there's a phrase, 2 baby cows. I'll save it for the end though. We'll talk about it later.
Well, I'll throw in one more cow story for you then.
Oh, good. I love cow stories.
The sky's the limit, or it sounds too good to be true. It probably is. But what's too good to be true for one person may not be too good to be true for another. As you work with someone, understand the risks and rewards. So there was a guy who had a cow and went to sell that and ended up trading it for a couple of magic beans. And his mother got so upset, she threw the beans out the window because he foolishly traded away their cow. And it made a huge beanstalk. And Jack climbed up it, and a whole bunch of things happened, and he came down with a whole bunch of gold in the end. That foolish investment paid off amazingly, since he didn't die by the giant. What's a good investment for one person, what our risk allows us, what our ability can vary differently from everyone. Maybe one person's investment is buying into a business and helping to run it. Another person's is investing in the market. Another person's is investing in tools for themselves to grow or create more wealth. Another person is putting it in a bank for safety. There's no best investment for everyone. It depends on what we're willing to do and not do. But the more we can save at the beginning, allow the goal to work for us, and the more that grows, the more opportunities it presents for us. And as that gets bigger, maybe we're willing to take more risks. If it's smaller, we need to be a little bit safer. If we're young, we have time to lose some, we can take a bigger risk because we can replace it. So the sky is in a different place for everybody. The best investment is different for each person.
Absolutely well said.
Like a lot of platitudes at the end there, but they're true ones anyways.
Oh, I think we can jump into our last point here. Hate to take the reins from it.
Please.
It's fascinating how we've developed from, saving to multiplying to being aware and cautious to know and study and to really figure out which works best for you. Great advice given by Ian and the team here. But number 5 is gold and get, I don't know if this is what it says on your end, but gold and get rich quick schemes don't mix with any one of these original principles. And I guess that just goes back to saying, like, again, you should be cautious of your gold, but also you should study out the best investments. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. But at the same time too, like, do your research, understand what's going on, and anything that's like a man, you could be driving a Lamborghini by next Thursday type deal. There should be little red flags in your brain that says, how do you say this? Do you guys think the Hulk gets stretch marks when he grows so quickly? You ever think about that? Like, what damage happens to right? Does he ever have really bad damage to the human body after going through what when he becomes the Hulk, right? There's got to be some crazy psychological. He's not going to live forever. It's just not going to work. But if you think about how fast he grows from human to Hulk, it can't be healthy. It can't be good. And the same thing happens with your money. If you see your money go from like 2 cents to like, $20,000 really quickly, you better check it, because there's got to be validity to it. There's got to be value to it. And if it does and it's great, then awesome. You hacked the system. Congratulations. But it's an anomaly. Grow long term, think the infinite game. And I just think that it's very powerful to understand everything from a perspective of, if it grows too fast, then there's probably repercussions. If I start training for a marathon by running a marathon today, I'm probably going to spend the rest of my training recovering from an injury, because you can't just start right away. So it's the same principle. It's just take it slow, take it nice and easy, and gain confidence and control over it as you grow with the money. That's just a thought and an opinion.
We probably all heard that people who win the lottery are usually worse off financially 5 or 10 years later than they were when they won the lottery. And part of that is because the money coming in is not the problem. It's what you're doing with money when you have it that causes financial problems. So foolish investments, foolish spending, not knowing the laws of money is worse than not having money. And in this book, Arcad, as his son returns after his trip 10 years later, and going through losing his money and becoming a slave and gaining his freedom and learning to invest and follow those rules, he comes back to his father's court. And he says, when I left, you gave me a bag of gold. So here's the bag you gave me, and here's another bag of gold as a thank you for the gold you gave me. And you also gave me this tablet with these 5 laws. And for that tablet, here are 3 bags of gold to show you how much more I value your wisdom than I value your gold. So he mentioned that in there, most people, if you ask them, would you rather have $1,000 or knowledge on how to handle money? Most people will say, give me the $1,000, I'll work it out myself. And then they end with nothing. Those who seek the knowledge first will get the gold and be able to keep that. If they avoid number 5. And I've been saving this story, so I'm going to go into this one now. Get rich quick schemes are bad. So I have a friend who for several months would text or email me every once in a while saying, what do you think about crypto and Bitcoin? And I always answered, if you got the money to play with it, go for it. But to me, and this is my opinion, it's not a stable investment. It's not something you can count on going forward. It could go up and down dramatically, and it has. Finally, after a few months, he goes, well, the reason I'm asking is I found this great opportunity. I found this company where you put the money with them. They use these computer algorithms to day trade Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, like everything, goes up and down continually throughout the day. So they make hundreds of trades every day to capitalize on those micro movements. And then on top of that, the overall value of Bitcoin was going up. So you gain money that way, and then you can invest more and make more on those micro payments. Sounds good, right? She brought me into the conference call. A couple other guys in there. Yeah, I put my whole retirement in there. I've got $700,000 in this. I'm telling people to put their retirements in it. And I'm thinking, no, don't do that. But they're trying to sell me on it. Okay, here's my risk tolerance. I sold a couple of things on eBay. I got $200 for them. Thought, well, I can put $200 into this and see what happens. So I put the money in it and watched it. It actually grew pretty good for a couple of weeks. Less than a month after I did this, my friend calls me up. He says, I don't know how to tell you this, but the owner of the company just disappeared. We can't find him. I said, okay. I said, I put $200 in it that I got off of eBay from stuff in my garage. Don't worry about me. I never asked her how much she put in, but I know some of her friends were in the hundreds of thousands. They did eventually find the guy in Brazil. They never found the key or the Bitcoin wallet that everything was put in, which was several $1 million worth. Another warning sign, it was based in South Africa, which you should not invest in as well. South African government was auctioning off the computers and chairs from the office to pay back the investors. Get rich quick schemes don't work. If you have a few extra dollars, like I did in that case, and you want to put it in it, you want to go to Vegas and put it on a table, and you're willing to lose everything you put in there, that's up to you. But if you want to grow your gold, you want to make your gold happy, you feed it good food. You can't feed a cow nothing but cotton candy to fatten it up and expect to get good meat and a good return on your investment on the cow. You've got to feed it healthy food. Same thing with your investments. You can't hope to hyperinflate them with some special trick that nobody else knows except for your plumber who passed on the information to you. Talk to your plumber about your plumbing. If he tells you there's a new company making water heaters and they're revolutionary, you might want to listen to him. If he tells you that there's a new crop growing in New Guinea that's going to solve the world food crisis, you might want to stop and think about that one. Trust the experts who know what they're talking about. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And a last point with that, the last 10 years have not been a normal investment time. So I talk to people say, oh, my broker is getting me a great investment for the last 10 years. I said, well, he better have. If he didn't, something's really wrong. Not the last 1 year, but before that. So when we're thinking about, 10, 15, 20% returns in the stock market all the time, great. That's perfect. Those times are behind us for right now. If somebody is promising you more than 20% return, I would really start to look at it in a negative way, not in a positive way. I would start to be concerned about it, look and see whether that's is likely to be a scam or how much risk is involved in that. Again, we're not giving financial advice specifically, but pay attention to how much is being promised and compare that to what are normal returns. What are banks paying? What are money market accounts paying? How is the stock market doing in general? And if somebody is promising you something that varies a lot from what those standard market indexes show, like the Dow Jones or the S&P 500, that's a time to worry about somebody doing a quick get rich quick scheme where they are hoping to get rich quick off of the money you have saved.
I think that's a great again lesson and story and tutorial, because I think a lot of people have heard about the phrase "get rich quick" and they sort of associate that with other forms of sales and investment. But it's a great example that you share, Ian, and also just a great reminder and a little bit of education, right? That gives us some better backing, some more context and so forth. I think it's very, very powerful that we just stay aware of that stuff, right? And in great sound, just opinionated advice, right? Like if it's off the beaten track from what normal or what usual and typical investments are involved in, then be careful, beware, and have those red lights in the eyes show up, because you definitely need to be cautious. I just think it's powerful. I apologize, I cut you off, Warren. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good. One thing that I've just been taught is that, and you kind of mentioned this, you don't invest it unless you're okay to lose it into those types of things. You have to not expect anything in return. You hope for it, but if it's gone, it's gone. And so don't invest your life savings into it. Those things.
Right. I say that with gambling. I don't gamble. I do go to casinos occasionally, and I spend some money there. To me, gambling is when I expect to walk out with money in my pocket. Spending it, I can go to a movie and I can spend $20 for a ticket and another 20 for popcorn and 30 for a drink, and walk out two hours later being entertained by the movie. I can go to a casino, I can stick $20 in the penny slots, and I can walk out an hour later having been entertained.
I love that.
That's spending money for it. Investments, my Bitcoin investment was spending money. If something comes out of it, great. But that's money that I'm spending. And for me, I got a really good story out of it that I share with a lot of people.
And life lesson.
And a life lesson.
You've lived it, right?
Yeah. And I didn't need to lose $100,000 to learn that lesson.
Because you did it the smart way to begin with.
That's kind of the overall concept. Like I said, be smart. Don't get so caught up with the love of something that you want, that you're willing to do something foolish. There was a movie that came out many years ago, Indecent Proposal. I started to watch that. If you don't know, the premise is a couple is really in financial trouble, so they decide to go to Vegas to gamble to get out of financial trouble. So they're pretty smart people to begin with. And actually at that point, the entire movie was ridiculous to me, and nothing else made sense, because how dumb do you have to be to take your last $10 to Vegas to hope that you're going to get out of financial trouble? Whatever happens to you, not to be heartless and cruel, you kind of deserve it if you think that's the way to solve your problems.
I think it was, it's interesting you said that. Yeah, Vegas is not a good place to take your last $10. I can't remember, so please correct me if you know the true quote, but I think it's either Warren Buffett or Bill Gates. I can't remember. I'm going to go with Warren Buffett. If Warren Buffett was down to his last dollar, what would he do with it? And he said that I would invest in media. And obviously this is things have changed over the last decade, especially over the last 3 or 4 years. But as far as like what to use your money for and what to create and invest in, from the perspective of Jon Kovach, I would always say invest in yourself first and then get wise and work on things that will help you grow. But to this degree, I think it's very, very interesting that there are so many options. And again, take care of your gold. It has a life of its own. It has some, it respects and works with the cautious and respected and educated owner. So great principles today, guys, and great ideas. I just want to bring this back to the fold here. The 5 laws of gold obviously teaches about how we respect and have relationships and work with our own money that's coming in. So take advantage of that and use it for good. Any other final comments you guys want to share before I release the infamous video of 2 baby cows?
I'm going to give one last one. So far, no one has come to me for my advice on what I would do with my last dollar. But I think at this point, I would say with that last dollar, go to Goodwill and buy a copy of The Richest Man in Babylon and start studying that.
I love that. I love that subtle plug because for sure we knowledge is key and knowledge is going to grow anything. Anything from you, Lauren?
I just want to see this cow video.
I built it up, right? Well, okay.
Yeah.
But I want to thank you all for the kind words and the awesome advice we shared today. Also, again, like I love this book club because I get to spend, 30 minutes or 20 minutes here and there reading through the books, but I look forward to these conversations. They allow us to really, really dive deeper into the material, and it's meaningful. So for you listeners, when you check this stuff out, please just number one, let us know what you think. If there are questions you want us to address or topics you want us to cover, we've got a schedule built out for the rest of the year. So please enjoy that. And for the next 2 weeks, we're still talking about more principles from The Richest Man in Babylon. So all of these things come together. And go ahead, Lauren. Yeah.
If people want to jump on this call and interact with us, how do they do that?
Yeah, so if they want to physically be here in studio, they got to send an email to team@mychampioncircle.com, where we will evaluate them and make sure that they're a good fit for the show. And obviously, we'll bring them on. If they've got questions or conversations they want to add, that'd be great. Referrals help if you're like, hey, you should bring on so-and-so. Yeah, of course. I would love to talk with Tony Robbins. In fact, he's always welcome to our stage. But I would love some conversations with anyone else as well. And if you also want to participate in this, check us out on YouTube or check us out on any podcast channel. We haven't quite evolved to the live stream yet, but we'll get there soon. So with the live stream, we'll be launching that, and you can find that at championcircle.com, mychampioncircle.com, or you can go to any one of our social media channels. So there you go.
Do we get to say it now? Go subscribe, go subscribe.
Go subscribe, go subscribe, go subscribe. Yeah, absolutely.
That's when my kids look up at me. Can we subscribe, Mom?
Absolutely. So please, if you would, give us some support. Follow us. If you want to make donations, great, cool, whatever. We love it. We'll take care of that gold. We'll cautiously, here, let me walk through the steps here. We'll save 10% of it. We'll multiply it. We'll give it, make sure its owner is cautious, and we'll study investments, and then obviously staying away from get rich quick schemes. So there we go. All right. Well, the reason why I want to show this video is we were talking about cow stories, which, number one, give it up for Ian. Thank you for the cow stories. Thank you for the examples. And I don't know, maybe it's the ADHD in me, or it's just the relatableness, but I think that this guy on TikTok had some of the most in my opinion, he has the greatest lovable sales pitch in the world. Okay. And this individual truly sells it. I mean, when you watch this, you're going to be like, wow, I want to go live with this guy, and I want to have what he's offering, because he's got it. He's got it made. So here's why it's relevant. The 2 baby cows, very, very important. Who doesn't want 2 baby cows in their world? And here is a little video that went viral on TikTok. Greatest sales pitch in the world.
So you want to live on a piece of property with me and build a chicken coop, or what? And have 2 baby cows? We could have 2 baby cows.
Compelling, right? Absolutely compelling. I mean, come on. Let's go. Let's move in with him. He's got a chicken coop and 2 baby cows. So there you go. That's honestly has zero validity to what Ian shared earlier, but I just thought it was so funny.
Count on John to bring in the TikTok.
Yes. Now, did you find that on one of the dating sites?
Farmersonly.com. We're a sponsor. And oh man, love it, guys. Well, I'm glad we're having fun here. And again, I don't want to add entertainment value if it distracts from what we're learning, because I am grateful that we're reading this book, and it's an absolute classic. I mean, go pick up a copy of The Richest Man in Babylon, whether you do it from Amazon or, we should have an Amazon affiliate link and send it out to people. I'm just kidding. And then we'll save 10% of that, and then we'll make great investments. But whatever it is, guys, go grab a copy of the book. It's at stores near you. It's on the shelves. It's a classic. You're going to want it. And follow along with us. We're going to be moving into some other great books too on the schedule for next month, just in case you're interested. But on next month, we were going to be talking about the book, The Speed of Trust, a book that I have yet to pick up, and I can't wait to read it. It was a suggestion by Ian, so we'll get there. We still got two more sessions of The Richest Man in Babylon, which we'll get into, but I'm looking forward to next month as well. All right, guys. Well, we're at that hour mark. Let's join and let's sign off. But appreciate you. We'll see you soon, and have a great day.
See ya.
Pushing the button. There we go.